Good morning, everyone. So nice to have that coffee. Glad you could join us for it. Hope you had a nice weekend and a nice week. And, once again, I ask you to pray for our retired Vincentians in Perryville, Missouri, especially those in need of healing. And so we'd like you to keep them in your prayers. And also remember those friends of the mission who have asked for prayers and who are in need of healing. And so once again, remember Brian and Bill and Clarence and Leonard and Ralph and Stan, and also Allison and Cindy and Karen, Louise and Loretta and Sharon and Pat. We continue to pray for your miracle of healing, and hopefully that happens soon. My reflections are kind of mixed today. It happens a lot that feast days come on a Sunday and we miss them, especially if it's the memory of a saint. But I'm missing because, Sunday displaced the celebration for one of my favorite feast days, and that's the guardian angels. I think how many lives, how many tragedies have been spared because of guardian angels. And it's always a time for me to be grateful to God that He cares for each of His children. And so I've grown up, and I'm sure you have too, with the whole idea of having a guardian angel. It's just our way of saying God cares for His children. But we missed the celebration because it fell on a Sunday. But I will remember the beauty of the guardian angels. And I hope I never stop thanking God for His care. I mean, things don't always go the way I'd like, and there still is pain and suffering in the world. But God is there. He cares for His people. The human condition is what causes a lot of the pain in our world. God chose to give us the world, and He put it in the hands of human beings. That's why we need guardian angels. Because if you put the world in the hands of human beings, you can have some problems. And so we do have pain and suffering. But thank God, and thank Him for His angels. And then tomorrow, we're sandwiched between two special feast days. Tomorrow, celebrate the feast of St. Francis of Assisi. And our sister Marianne has given me a love of this saint, and a lot because we have watched her, how she has rescued dogs. It's like, and I find this, very hard in our world. In our world, there are more dogs than there are owners for the dogs. More dogs than there are people who are going to care for them. And Marianne, for years, have been rescuing dogs. And I know people who do that. And so I think on this feast of St. Francis, I'm more conscious of the beauty of animals in our world. I use the little booklet, maybe you have one too, the Magnificat. It has, every day's celebration. The cover of this month's has, it's an art depiction of St. Francis preaching to the birds. And so people have grown up with, if anyone who has a pet or loves animals has an appreciation of St. Vincent. I mean, not St. Vincent, St. Francis. Even though St. Vincent is my favorite saint, I'm aware of how popular St. Francis of Assisi is. And I hope during this month of October, which is Respect Life Month, we think about respect for all life. And I was thinking, what the horrible, horrible hurricane damage in Florida and elsewhere. I think about all the animals who are displaced, looking for their owner, and they may not find the owner. And the effort that's going on to try to save the animals. And I think what a tribute it is to St. Francis, who has inspired people to respect and care for animals. For me, the animal is the horse. As many of you know me, I'm a lover of the horse. But I think that too, so many abuse horses. And so between these two feasts, I'm reflecting upon the beauty of God caring for me and all life. And even as he gives me my guardian angel, I will continue to thank God for his care for me. And then I will also think about tomorrow's feast of St. Francis and his inspiration to people. It's a fascinating story of a man who, he came from a rich family, and then he just kind of threw that away so he could have a life of holiness and prayer and sanctity. And he did that. His call from God was to rebuild a church. And it wasn't just the church as we know it. It was a church that was crumbling. And he literally did that with St. Damiano. He's one of the few saints who was canonized rather quickly. 2 years after his death, he was canonized a saint. So obviously he was respected. So with both saints, with both reflections for me, feast days, it's a matter of appreciating God and his care for life. So let that be an inspiration for all of us. I was thinking about Francis. That was a story, and you've probably heard me tell the story where, the guy is talking to a veterinarian and said, how do you cure fleas on a dog? Now, I'm laughing. I'm thinking, if St. Francis was the veterinarian, his answer to how do you cure fleas on a dog, his answer would have been, what's wrong with the fleas? Anyway, let it be a respectful reflection today. As always, we always say our mission prayer for needs and miracles. And so join me as we say, Divine Savior, transform me into yourself. May my hands be your hands. May my tongue be your tongue. Grant that every faculty of my body may serve only to glorify you. Above all, transform my soul and all its powers, that my memory, my will, and my affections may be the memory, the will, and the affections of you. I pray you to destroy in me all that is not of you. Grant that I may live but in you and by you and for you, and that I may truly say with St. Paul, I live now, not I, but Christ lives in me. God bless. Thanks for watching. Check our website out on Wednesdays, and see you next week. Be safe. God bless.